Hey there, it's Robin at Old Town Finds. Thanks for stopping by. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, and it is now 2020, and I wanted to go over 2019 top 15 sales that I had in my Etsy store. It was my first year listing and focusing on Etsy. I have used them in 2018, but I got serious with it for 2019. I did close one of my stores on eBay, and I still run about 200 items on there at any given time. But these are just singular items that were my top profit makers in my Etsy store. And wanted to go over those with you so you can maybe get inspired to get out there and do something similar. So let's go. The first item I have here, it was a marked, and I can't remember the names. I did not print out all these, and I did not write down everything. But it was a marked plaster chalkware set of praying hands in a brass golden color with the bronze base. It did have a little nick on it. It wasn't terribly bad. I did pay $4.99 at Salvation Army for this, and it sold for $55, and the buyer did pay shipping. So my profit was $50 on that. Now, when I'm talking about my profit, it does not have my fees taken out for the sale on Etsy on the back side of it, but it's not too terribly off. If I paid shipping on things, because most of my listings now are free shipping, that's what I deducted, so it would be closer to what my actual profit mark is. Okay, so the next item is a Nellie Bly milk glass miniature oil lamp. It is hand painted on the bottom, and it was in working order, and these are pretty old. These are 1800 I would say 1880 to 1910 made, and I paid $10. I bought a large group of these in this listing of 15 items that I have here. A lot of the things came from a large auction, and I'll probably refer to that. But it was a 2-day auction, and they had amazing stuff. They were antique collectors and dealers, and wow, it was just a lot of stuff. There was a huge selection of miniature oil lamps. I did pay a higher amount for like the first 6 or 7 or so, and then they started grouping them, and it was much less. I think this one was in that lesser group, a priced group, but for the sake of it, since I can't remember which ones I got for $10, I'm just going to say 10. So I paid $10, it sold for $69, and the shipping was $8, so my profit was right at $51. Okay, now we have those champagne flutes that I showed a few videos ago when we came back from North Carolina, South Carolina area. I picked up 4 of these, and unfortunately, one broke on the way back home, and I did pay $4 a piece, so I absorbed that price into this paid amount here. I paid $16, and they sold for $85. The buyer did pay shipping. It was an international sale, went up to Canada. So my profit was $69. I did list these very competitively, underpriced them really. It was right at Christmas. I wanted to get some of this stuff out, especially for the holidays. And so this set sold quickly. Each one of these goblets normally sell anywhere between, I would say, $30 to, I've seen them all the way up to $70 a piece. So I was very, very, very reasonably priced, but by the time she paid her $40 shipping, in the buyer's mind, they are paying, what the standard price is. So it worked out. I made money, and she got a really good deal on them. The next item is a beautiful German bisque doll. She was very heavily marked, about 22 inches, and I had her for a long time. I was really kind of disappointed. I wouldn't necessarily buy another one unless it was like she was really in good condition. She's very old, early 1900s, and again, she was in really good condition. Her eyes moved. She's jointed. She did have a little bit of dry damage on her limbs, but nothing significant. All her clothes were hand made and in relatively good condition. Her hair was in good condition, and I don't know why she sat for so long. I should have gotten really closer to $250 to $300 for her size and for her markings, but I don't know. So she sat for about a year, a little over a year in my store, and I moved her from eBay and I put her on Etsy, and she finally sold. I paid $20 for her at an auction and sold for $127. Shipping was $22, and my profit was $85. This next set of 12 figurines were a really kind of remarkable find at a local church rummage sale. It was the last day, and I had wanted to get over there, and I nearly forgot, so I was lucky to have gotten over there at all. And it was the last few hours of it, so everything was 50% off, and everything was heavily picked through. Didn't have a lot for me that I was interested in. I saw these guys and I thought they were interesting. I had no idea what they were. I didn't even check my phone at the time. I went on a gut feeling, and I figured at least I could, probably sell them for $5, $10 for the lot of them when I got home. So they were 60 cents. They were 10 cents a piece, so it'd be $1.20, and 50% off, it was 60 cents. And they're wooden, hand painted, and they're Korean, like placard holders, like name tag holders for place settings. And very neat and very unique. I found one other set that had, I think maybe it was just 10 of them, and they sold for right around this price, around $78, $85. I can't remember right offhand, but I had these listed, I think close to 100, and I had someone contact me, and they were actually from South Korea, and they wanted to negotiate a little on the price. I did come down to $87. He did wind up paying quite a bit for shipping for them to return back home. So that was kind of a cool story on those. Next item is sanded Majolica. Now, if you don't know what Majolica is, it is older earthenware that is glazed with a lead-based glaze, usually in brighter colors, very colorful, very cheerful. Now, sanded Majolica has crushed pottery, earthenware, and they roll it in it or apply it to it to give it that sanded look. And a great many of the times you're going to see that applied flour work on there. A lot of people, when they're not familiar with it, they automatically start thinking Capodimonte type thing, and it's not. It is Majolica, especially with that sanded look to it. And true collectors, most of them realize that leaves are broken, stems are missing, petals are chipped off. It's very common. These are very old. They range from the middle 1800s up to about 1900, 1905, something like that, when these were made. And these are English. So anyway, I found a large collection at that auction I was talking about earlier, and that's why I went. They had a huge collection of this. I bought probably about 40 pieces of it. Some of them were grouped. Again, they start off with the better pieces and they want the higher amount. I did buy some that way, but then when they started to group them off and go less and people were less interested in it, I did pick up a lot of good pieces for a lot less. So this is one of those. I bought this at $15. I sold it for $117. Shipping was $15 that I paid for, and the profit was $87. Next is another item from that auction, and it was a 2-day auction. They had beautiful items, and I scored so many lovely things. I wish I had more auctions like that around me. So anyway, these are Empoli. They're Italian glass. They are cobalt blue, cased white on the inside, very stark and attractive. And these are like water goblet size. They're larger, the bowl on it's larger than a standard wine goblet, but you can use them for whatever. And I paid $11 for the 5 and sold them for $133, and the shipping was $10. It was in my zone, so I didn't have to spend that much on shipping, and my profit was $112. Next is, I love finding flatware, complete sets of flatware. Especially if they're in a box like this. This was a really nice box, about a mid-century box, and it did have a monogram on the top of the box on like a hard sticker, metallic sticker type thing. And so I left that to the buyer to pull off whatever they wanted to do. They are gold plated flatware, and I can't even speak. They're Oneida, and I don't know the pattern name off right hand, but I did buy them at a local estate sale. It was another one of those last minute things I ran over, and everything was picked through. The kitchen was like bare bones almost, except for this was sitting in the middle of the table, and I was kind of surprised. And they wanted $30. They did not have this item on sale. They wanted $30 for it, and I sold it for $153, and the buyer did pay shipping, so my profit was $123. This next item is a pretty bohemian art glass urn in cranberry glass. It does have the gold leaf work on the flora pattern on the front there, and also some white and blue enamel little tiny flowers, and also has clear riggery handles, and the finial on the lid is also clear. And it was just a very pretty piece, one of those I wouldn't mind having in my house. And I paid $12.50 at an auction earlier last year on this, and I sold it for $165, and the shipping was $17, so my profit was $135.50. So next item was also at that one auction with all the Majolica. It was quite dirty. Don, my partner, he's my cleaning man. He polishes all the silver, and this came out just stunning. I didn't even know that it had the buffalo hunt scene on the bottom base there, and you could barely see it. And when he cleaned it up, it was wow. We actually decided, maybe we should just keep it. I priced it high. I think at like $250, $230 on this. And I had a lady that contacted me, and she was going back and forth with me, and she was saying how she's going to buy it for her son. She has one, and I don't know everybody's story. I don't know how much to believe of it, but the better part of me wants to believe. So I did come down a little bit, and it was also on sale. And so I paid $10 for it. I sold it for $161. And the shipping was $15, so my profit was $136. Just a lovely piece. That glass is the original glass to the bowl on it, and it comes out. So it was just a really stunning piece. The next item, also at that same auction, was a large and very heavy, very thick cranberry glass sugar casket. It does have the brass edge covers on them. It was just a really neat piece, very old piece and very heavy piece. I did also accept a better offer, an offer on this. I did have this listed probably around $200, and I paid $15 for it, sold it for $170, and shipping was $17, and my profit was $138. Next is a set of Fire King Swirl plates and the milk glass, the Fire King milk glass, and it has the gold trim on it. Very neat story. I had a lady contact me on these, and she was kind of sporadic, so I just waited to hear from her again, and she was frantic by the time she contacted me again. She had to have dinnerware service for a wedding, and her husband was supposed to have gotten a set, and the seller, I guess, changed the price on the shipping or something. It was some kind of complication, so they were now scrambling, and I worked out a little bit less than what I was asking. It was 26 pieces, and she was in my zone, so the shipping wasn't all that expensive. I did send it in 2 boxes. I paid $4 at the same church rummage sale that I got the little Korean wooden figurines at, but this was last year or the year before, 2018, when they had their sale there. And so this sat for a while. I had a lot of interest, but just nobody bought it. And until then, and she wanted my phone number because she was so concerned from dealing with the previous seller that something might go amiss. So I'm not really, keen on handing out my phone number, but I gave it to her anyway. And she actually was very, very kind. She called me up after the fact and just thanked me so much for helping her out and getting it to her on time and packing it well and everything. So it worked out very well. Not all my people. It's really funny. I have a lot of people that contact me on my email or through the convos, and then this lady called me and just, instead of leaving a review, I'll get contacted, with people thanking me so much. And so it was nice. It was a neat little happening there. Okay, next I have another Majolica vase. It is heavily decorated with applied roses and leaf work. It is cobalt blue glazed top with the handles. The handles are dolphin fish. They look almost more like koi fish to me, or Asian almost. And the bottom of it is sanded Majolica, the sanded texture. And this one was one of the better pieces. There was very little damage to those leaves and the flowers. It was really kind of awesome. I paid $27.50 and sold for $200. Shipping was $11, so my profit was $161.50. The next vase is like a jug, and this is a neat piece. This is actually a marked piece. A lot of that Majolica, the other pieces, they weren't marked. This one was. And it's Majolica was made in England, most of it. And this one is kind of a reversed, almost like a cutout leaf work on it. And the leaves are glazed, and the rest of the body is with that sanded texture. The handle also is just glazed. And it is marked Lear, I believe it is. And he was a really popular pottery earthenware house that produced the Majolica, sanded Majolica. Anyway, this was sold to a museum in New York, and they are hosting the first exhibition for Majolica, the first one in 40 years, over 40 years. And I'm hoping that this piece will be chosen to be displayed there, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens. So that was kind of neat. I paid $27.50. This was one of the better pieces, and it sold for $200. The buyer did pay shipping on this, and my profit was $172.50. And last but not least is my oyster plate. I knew a little bit about oyster plates just from other research I've done, but this is considered what they call a turkey oyster plate. And that kind of baffled me at first. I didn't understand because I didn't see it when I first looked at it. But when you look at it, the bunching of the oysters on this plate look like a turkey outline. The face is kind of off to your left, or the head, I would say, of the turkey. That one shell, upside down shell, the brown shell, sort of looks like the head of the turkey, and the body kind of looks like a turkey body. So anyway, they call this pattern a turkey oyster plate. It is Havilland, Limoges, France. It was a really pretty, this looks almost more red, but it was like a fuchsia pink and with gold detail on it. And no chips, no cracks, no nothing. It is an older plate. I believe it was like 1880s, 1890s. I bought this for $30 on a gut feeling because I did not, it was in the heat of bidding and stuff. And I didn't really know until I did some research on it And I found one that was right at $700, and I was kind of surprised by that. I did have this listed initially right at $350. It did sit for, I want to say, probably about 8 months. I lowered it down to the $295, and it finally sold within a couple months of doing that. So I paid $30, sold it for $295, and the shipping was $12. But I know I added additional insurance to cover it up to the $300 amount. So I would say really realistically, my profit was $250 on that plate. And that is all. That is all 15 for this for 2019. And like I said, it was just the top single items that I had, and for my profit margins, and doesn't include like the larger orders I've had with multiple items for like one person buying, you know, several items. But it's been a good year on Etsy. I've been really pleased, and I hope you found this interesting. And thanks for stopping by, and please remember to like and subscribe below. Your support means a lot. So thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next time.